In the heart of San Diego's sunlit skyline, where glass towers kissed the Pacific breeze, Harold Preston sat behind his mahogany desk like a general before battle. The faint hum of the city below echoed through the open window. Car horns, distant laughter, and the rhythmic crash of waves. Yet for Harold, none of it mattered. His eyes were fixed on the spreadsheet glowing across his monitor, filled with numbers that refused to obey him. Profits down 17%, his accountant had said that morning. Recycling rates are dropping, competition's rising fast. Harold had dismissed the man with a cold nod, but inside, a storm brewed. Decline was not a word Harold Preston tolerated. He had built Preston Green Solutions from scratch, clawing his way from the son of a dock worker to a man who shook hands with mayors and golfed with CEOs. He owned a 4-bedroom villa in La Jolla, drove a black Mercedes that gleamed like a mirror, and hosted dinner parties where wine cost more than most people's rent. And yet, as he stared at the falling numbers, he felt it slipping away. The illusion of control, the empire built on ego and borrowed money. He closed the laptop, exhaling sharply, and turned his gaze to the family portrait framed behind his desk. His wife Sylvia stood beside him in a sapphire gown, smiling softly. And in front of them, his only son, Ryan, wore his UCLA hoodie, one arm lazily draped around his mother's shoulder. Harold had insisted they take that photo at the country club just after Ryan's acceptance letter arrived. A Preston at UCLA, Harold had boasted for weeks. That's prestige, Sylvia. That's legacy. To Harold, his son wasn't just a child, he was an investment. That afternoon, Sylvia entered his office with her usual grace, holding a tray of coffee and shortbread. Her silver hair shimmered under the light. "You haven't eaten all day, Harold," she said softly. "At least take a break." "I don't have time for a break," he snapped, flipping through a folder of invoices. "The board meeting's tomorrow. If I don't show progress, they'll start whispering." "Whispering," she repeated with a hint of sadness. "Or telling the truth." He glared up. "Don't start, Sylvia. Not today." She sighed and set down the tray. "You care too much about what people think." "That's how the world works," Harold replied, standing abruptly. "Perception is power. You either have it or you're invisible." Sylvia looked at him for a long moment, then spoke quietly. "And what about love, Harold? Or family? Does that count for anything?" He didn't answer. He couldn't. Later that evening, as the sun melted into gold over the Pacific, Harold sat alone on the terrace, sipping whiskey. The world glowed in wealth's favorite colors: amber, champagne, and quiet envy. Across the street, the neighbor's teenage son parked his sports car and ran into his mansion laughing with friends. Harold watched, jaw tightening. Ryan should be here, he thought. Ryan should be him one day, wealthy, respected, admired. But instead, his son was somewhere in Los Angeles, throwing parties on the beach and uploading photos of surfboards and bonfires. Harold's phone buzzed with another credit card notification. $1,247. Sunset Boulevard Electronics. $879. Paradise Beach Bar. He slammed the phone down. Irresponsible brat, wasting my money like it grows on palm trees. Ryan Preston, meanwhile, was exactly where his father suspected. Barefoot on the Malibu sands, laughing under strings of fairy lights, the ocean roared like applause as waves rushed the shore. Music pulsed from Bluetooth speakers. A bonfire flickered against faces of friends who adored his charm and envied his freedom. When his phone buzzed again, he groaned. The name Dad glared on the screen. He didn't answer. He rarely did.
Back in San Diego, Harold couldn't sleep. He wandered through the darkened house, every step echoing against marble floors. The silence of wealth felt suffocating. He paused in front of Ryan's old room. It was still untouched. Surfboard by the window, posters of classic rock bands on the walls, trophies from school soccer tournaments collecting dust. He remembered the day Ryan got his first acceptance letter from a state college. Harold had crumpled it immediately. UCLA or nothing, he'd said. You're a Preston. Act like one. Ryan had gone quiet that day. That silence had never left. Now Harold leaned against the doorframe, rubbing his temples. You don't understand, he whispered to the empty room. Everything I'm doing, it's for you. But deep down, he knew that wasn't true. It was for himself, for the image of success that had become his addiction. The next morning, Harold attended a networking breakfast at the Pacific Club, a marble palace overlooking the marina. The air buzzed with laughter, champagne, and the perfume of money. Men in tailored suits discussed mergers. Women in diamond necklaces whispered about charity galas. Harold smiled his practiced smile, shaking hands and boasting of international clients and expansion plans that didn't exist. It was all theater, and he was its lead actor. Harold, my friend, boomed George Ellison, a real estate magnate. Still running that recycling empire, eh? Saving the planet one bottle at a time? Harold chuckled stiffly. Someone has to keep California clean, George. The men laughed, but behind their eyes was judgment. Recycling wasn't glamorous. It wasn't tech or real estate or finance. It was blue-collar entrepreneurship, and Harold knew it. As he sipped his mimosa, snippets of conversation drifted around him. Venture capital, electric vehicles, stock options. He felt small, outdated, forgotten. Then a familiar name caught his attention. Edward Mercer's daughter, Maddie, she's turning heads again at Stanford. Beautiful, smart, and rich as sin. That family's untouchable. Edward Mercer, the billionaire investor, the man Harold had tried to meet for years but never could. Harold's pulse quickened. He smiled faintly. A Mercer connection. That could change everything. That evening, Harold sat in his study, swirling his whiskey and thinking, if Ryan could marry into the Mercer family, the Prestons would rise again. The scandal, the debts, the failing business, it could all be hidden behind a new alliance. He imagined the headline, Tech heir marries recycling tycoon's son. It sounded perfect. It sounded powerful. He picked up his phone and dialed Sylvia. We need to talk about Ryan's future, he said. Her voice was calm, wary. His future or your reputation? Harold ignored the sting. There's a girl, Maddie Mercer, Edward's daughter. If Ryan plays his cards right, how— Harold, she interrupted softly. Our son isn't a card. He's a person. Then he'd better start acting like one who can win. He hung up before she could answer. Outside, the city glittered under the night. Somewhere in Los Angeles, Ryan was probably laughing under neon lights, unaware of the plans his father was weaving. And in that moment, alone in his grand but hollow home, Harold Preston whispered the only truth he still believed. Status is everything. Without it, you're no one. He stared out at the horizon, where the lights of wealth shimmered like distant stars. But what he didn't know, what he couldn't see, was that his obsession with status would soon cost him everything. His fortune, his pride, and the very son he claimed to love.
Los Angeles glowed like a restless dream. Streets alive with music, surfboards strapped to convertibles, palm trees swaying like lazy giants in the coastal wind. Among the laughter and luxury, Ryan Preston was right where he felt most at home, surrounded by people who adored him, lights that blurred into gold, and a rhythm that promised freedom. It was Friday night, and the rooftop of the Seabreeze Lounge pulsed with the energy of UCLA's weekend crowd. Music thundered from hidden speakers. Couples danced barefoot under hanging lanterns while the ocean whispered somewhere below. Ryan leaned against the bar, a mischievous smile tugging at his lips, sunglasses still on despite the fading light. "Dude, you've got to try this drink," said his best friend Jason, shoving a cocktail toward him. "It's called the Malibu Mirage, basically sugar and regret." Ryan laughed, clinking glasses. "Two of my favorite ingredients." They drank, laughed, and watched the city glow. Ryan's laughter carried easily. It was effortless, contagious. He had that natural magnetism people couldn't resist. Girls admired his sandy blonde hair, his sunburned confidence, and the way he seemed utterly untouched by consequence. But behind his easy charm lay something few noticed, a quiet disconnection from everything real. Ryan had grown up in a house filled with marble floors and silence. His father's footsteps were the loudest sound at dinner. Every achievement was met with a nod, every failure with a lecture. He learned early that love in the Preston household wasn't unconditional. It was earned through performance. So when he arrived at UCLA, surrounded by laughter and chaos, Ryan finally felt alive. He skipped morning lectures, spent afternoons surfing in Malibu, and hosted beach bonfires that lasted till dawn. His father's credit cards fueled his lifestyle, and Ryan never hesitated to use them. He told himself it wasn't about rebellion, it was about freedom. But deep down, it was a plea for something else entirely. Attention, maybe even understanding. The next morning, sunlight spilled across his cluttered apartment. Half-empty beer bottles, tangled charger cords, and a guitar gathering dust in the corner. Ryan woke with a groan, shielding his eyes. Jason was still asleep on the couch, snoring softly under a pile of blankets. "Morning, Picasso. You painted the floor with Cheeto dust again." Jason snorted awake. "Don't start, man. You're the one who decided it was a good idea to surf after tequila shots." Ryan grinned. "And yet here I am, still flawless." He stretched, slipped on a white t-shirt, and checked his phone. 27 missed calls from his father. His smile faded instantly. "Uh-oh," he said, noticing his expression. "Is the Emperor angry again?" "He's always angry," Ryan muttered, tossing the phone aside. "If Dad ever smiled, the stock market would probably crash." Jason laughed. "What does he even want now?" "The usual," Ryan said, heading to the kitchen. "Grades, plans, financial reports, like I'm running a business instead of living a life." He poured coffee into a chipped mug. "Sometimes I think he just wants me to be a smaller, cheaper version of himself." Jason watched him quietly. "You ever think about proving him wrong?" Ryan looked up, puzzled. "By doing what?" Jason shrugged. "Something real. Something that's yours." Ryan smiled faintly but didn't answer. Deep down, he didn't know how. Later that afternoon, Ryan drove along the Pacific Coast Highway in his sleek convertible, wind tearing through his hair. The ocean shimmered beside him, endless and free. Music blared from the stereo, a song about youth and recklessness. And for a moment, he felt untouchable. At a red light, he caught sight of a billboard towering above the traffic. Mercer Industries, investing in tomorrow. He recognized the name. His father had mentioned it before, always with envy. Edward Mercer, the Silicon Valley powerhouse, worth billions. Ryan shook his head. "Different world," he muttered, revving the engine as the light turned green. He didn't know yet that this name, Mercer, would soon rewrite his entire story. By evening, campus life buzzed with anticipation. UCLA's annual Summer Mixer, the biggest event before break, was underway. Students filled the quad, dressed in white, fairy lights strung between palm trees, and music echoing across the courtyard. Ryan arrived late, as usual, with Jason trailing behind. Heads turned as he walked in. He had that effect. Carefree, confident, and slightly dangerous. "Ryan Preston," a girl cooed near the snack table. "You finally showed up." He flashed a grin. "I go where the fun goes." "Or where the camera does," Jason whispered. Ryan smirked. "Both work." They mingled through the crowd, laughing and dancing. But as the evening wore on, Ryan felt strangely detached. The laughter around him sounded hollow. Every smile looked rehearsed. That's when he saw her. Madison Mercer. She stood near the stage, her posture effortlessly elegant, her long auburn hair catching the golden lights like fire. She was dressed simply, a white dress, pearl earrings, but her confidence radiated louder than any outfit could. Ryan didn't know her name yet, but he felt her presence like a challenge. She looked like the kind of girl who owned the world and knew it. Jason followed his gaze. "Oh no," he murmured. "Don't even think about it." "Who is she?" Ryan asked. "Maddie Mercer. Senior at Stanford. Her dad is Edward Mercer, the investor. She's here visiting her cousin." Ryan smirked. "Mercer, huh? Sounds like royalty." "She kind of is," Jason said. "Rich, smart, impossible to impress. You're playing out of your league, man." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "You know me. I love a good challenge." He picked up 2 glasses of champagne and made his way towards her. "Careful," she said coolly as he approached. "Those drinks look expensive. Are you sure you can afford them?" Ryan blinked, momentarily thrown off. "That's one way to start a conversation." She smiled, but it wasn't kind. "Just saving time. You looked like someone who practices his pickup lines in the mirror." Jason, watching from afar, winced. "Oh, she's going to eat him alive."
Ryan recovered quickly. "Actually, I prefer improvisation," he said smoothly, "but I'll take that as a compliment." Maddie tilted her head. "You're Ryan Preston, right? The guy who rented out half of Malibu Beach last month for a casual hangout?" Ryan grinned. "You heard about that?" "Everyone did. I'm still not sure if it was a party or an ego parade." The crowd around them laughed. Ryan's smile faltered, just slightly. She turned to leave, but he called after her. "You know, for someone so beautiful, you're surprisingly rude." She paused, glancing over her shoulder. "And for someone so rich, you're surprisingly predictable." And with that, she walked away. The moment lingered. Ryan stood there, stunned but intrigued. Nobody ever talked to him like that. Not with mockery, not with honesty. He couldn't decide if he hated her or admired her. Jason walked up to him, clapping him on the back. "Told you, man. She's untouchable." Ryan stared into the crowd, where Maddie's laughter echoed faintly. "We'll see about that." That night, as the music played on and the lights dimmed, Ryan felt something new. A spark that wasn't about vanity or thrill. It was curiosity, challenge, and something dangerously close to admiration. He didn't know it yet, but Maddie Mercer would become the one person who could expose every flaw he tried to hide, and every feeling he didn't know he was capable of. The next morning, Harold's voice echoed through the phone before Ryan could even say hello. "You're wasting your youth, Ryan. You think life is a party? The world doesn't reward dreamers, it rewards doers." I sighed. "Morning to you too, Dad." "Don't you dare mock me," Harold snapped. "You're throwing away opportunities most people would kill for." "Maybe I don't want your kind of opportunities." "Then what do you want?" The question hung in silence. Ryan had no answer. Finally, Harold spoke again, voice cold and precise. "Until you figure it out, stop embarrassing the family name." The call ended. Ryan sat back on his bed, staring at the ceiling. For the first time, the sound of the ocean outside didn't comfort him. It sounded distant, like a world he didn't belong to. That night, he scrolled through his phone, past endless photos of parties, beaches, and laughter that suddenly looked meaningless. Then he paused on a single image, a candid shot from the mixer. Maddie Mercer, mid-laugh, hair caught by the wind. A smile tugged at his lips.
You think you've got me figured out? We'll see. Somewhere deep inside, something shifted. A desire not just to win her attention, but to prove he was more than the spoiled heir everyone saw. He didn't know it yet, but that single spark of pride and curiosity would ignite a fire that would burn through both their worlds.
The California sun was merciless that week. Its heat shimmered over UCLA's campus, painting the walkways in waves of gold and glare. Students rushed between classes in shorts and sunglasses, iced coffees in hand, while the air buzzed with talk of upcoming finals and weekend parties. Ryan Preston sat under a palm tree near Royce Hall, headphones in, pretending to study. His textbook was open to the same page it had been for an hour. He wasn't really reading, it was more about looking the part. A few passing girls smiled at him. He smiled back easily. He was good at that, being noticed without effort. But today, his thoughts kept circling back to one face, Maddie Mercer. Ever since that brief, brutal encounter at the summer mixer, her words had replayed in his mind like a song he couldn't stop humming. For someone so rich, you're surprisingly predictable. He didn't even know why it bothered him so much. He'd been insulted before, laughed at even, but never like that. She hadn't said it with anger. She'd said it like a fact, with complete confidence, as though she could see right through him. And that unnerved him. Jason plopped down beside him, munching on chips. You've been staring into space for 10 minutes. Either you've achieved enlightenment or you're thinking about a girl. Ryan smirked. Who says it can't be both? Jason laughed. Let me guess, Maddie Mercer again? Ryan shot him a look. Don't start. Oh, I'm starting, bro, Jason said, grinning. She's got you, bro. The guy who treats dating like a sport suddenly looks like he lost the trophy. Ryan grabbed a chip. She's just different. Different as in rich and unattainable, or different as in I can't stop thinking about how she destroyed my ego in public? Maybe both. Jason raised a brow. And what exactly are you planning on doing about it? Ryan leaned back, eyes narrowing thoughtfully. Something fun. 2 days later, the campus courtyard was alive with the buzz of a student charity event. Music, banners, and booths selling everything from cupcakes to secondhand books. Ryan arrived late, sunglasses on, carrying a cane. Jason nearly dropped his drink when he saw him. What the hell are you doing? Ryan grinned, tapping the cane against the ground. Acting? Jason groaned. No, seriously, what is this? You'll see. Ryan tilted his head toward the far side of the courtyard, where Maddie stood at a booth surrounded by a small crowd. She was helping organize a donation drive for underprivileged kids, her name already printed on flyers. Madison Mercer, Philanthropy Chair. Don't tell me I'm blind, Ryan said matter-of-factly, adjusting his dark glasses. She called me predictable. Let's see how predictable she thinks I am now. Jason gaped. That's psychotic! Or brilliant, Ryan replied with a smirk. He made his way toward the booth, tapping the cane carefully along the path. Heads turned. Some students whispered. Maddie looked up as he approached, and recognition flickered in her eyes. Ryan Preston? She asked, crossing her arms. Wow, didn't expect to see you here. What's with the, situation? Ryan's expression was calm, almost serene. Oh, yeah, accident. Surfing last month. Lost partial vision. Still adjusting. Her smile faded instantly. Oh my God, Ryan, I didn't know. He shrugged lightly. Didn't exactly put it on Instagram. Maddie hesitated, guilt washing over her. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. It's fine, he said softly. You couldn't have known. She bit her lip, her earlier confidence replaced with awkward concern. If there's anything I can...
Actually, Ryan said, his tone suddenly humble, I was hoping to volunteer. I can't do much, but I can hand out flyers or something. Maddie's eyes softened. That's really kind of you. Jason, watching from a distance, muttered under his breath, I can't believe this is working. For the next hour, Maddie and Ryan worked side by side. She showed him where the flyers were, guiding his hand gently toward the table. When she laughed, the sound was light, genuine. Ryan played the part flawlessly, slightly clumsy, overly polite, and surprisingly introspective. Students came and went, tossing coins into donation jars. Maddie occasionally looked at him with quiet sympathy, her earlier arrogance melting into admiration. At one point, she asked softly, Does it ever scare you, not being able to see anymore? Ryan paused. Sometimes, but it also changes how you notice things. You start listening more, feeling more. People think sight is everything, but maybe we see too much and understand too little. Her breath caught. That's really beautiful. He smiled faintly. Thanks. The moment hung between them, warm, fragile, almost real. By late afternoon, the courtyard began to empty. Maddie wiped her hands and turned to Ryan. You did great today, seriously. I didn't think you'd, take something like this so seriously. Ryan chuckled. Guess I'm full of surprises. She smiled. Maybe I misjudged you. He tilted his head. Maybe? Then her phone buzzed. She glanced at it and frowned. My dad's driver is here. I have to go. Of course, Ryan said, stepping back. As she turned to leave, she hesitated. Hey, if you ever need help getting around campus or something, I don't mind. I'll keep that in mind. When she walked away, Jason rushed over, eyes wide. You're insane. That was Oscar-level deception. Ryan laughed. Relax, it's harmless. Harmless, Jason hissed. You made her pity you. Exactly, Ryan said. And now she's interested. Let's see how long before the truth comes out. Jason shook his head. You're playing with fire, man. Yeah, but isn't that the fun part? Over the next week, Maddie began to appear more and more in Ryan's orbit. She'd meet him at the cafe before class, walk him across campus, and ask endless questions about how he was adapting. He responded with poetic half-truths, weaving emotion into his lies, until he almost believed them too. She was different from the girls he usually dated. Smart, focused, driven by causes that didn't involve social media likes. She wasn't impressed by luxury, but she was moved by vulnerability. And Ryan, for the first time in his life, found it easy to be vulnerable when he didn't have to mean it. But as the days passed, something unexpected happened. The more he faked sincerity, the more real it began to feel. He found himself watching her, not with amusement, but with quiet admiration. The way she tilted her head when she laughed. The way her eyes softened when she spoke about things that mattered. She was proud, yes, but her pride had depth. It came from conviction, not vanity. And that scared him, because suddenly, the game didn't feel like a game anymore. One evening, as they walked through the campus garden, Maddie asked softly, Can I tell you something? Ryan nodded. When I first met you, I thought you were shallow, the kind of guy who gets everything handed to him. Ryan smirked. Was I wrong to prove you right? She laughed. No, you proved me wrong. He smiled, but inside, guilt pricked like a thorn. She continued. You know, most people at these events only care about appearances. You're different, Ryan. You actually listen. Her words hit harder than he expected. For once, he didn't have a clever reply. Maddie smiled shyly. Anyway, thanks for showing me that not everyone with money is heartless. Ryan swallowed hard. You'd be surprised. She frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" He hesitated, then forced a grin. "Nothing. Just, the world's full of surprises." As she walked him back to his apartment, the guilt gnawed deeper. When she said goodbye, her hand brushed his. The touch lingered just a second too long. When she left, Ryan stood there in silence, the weight of his deception pressing against his chest. Jason's voice broke his thoughts. "You look miserable." Ryan sighed. "I think I just realized I actually like her." Jason groaned. "And she likes blind Ryan, not real Ryan. That's going to end beautifully." Ryan rubbed his face. "Yeah," he said softly. "I know." That night, he lay awake staring at the ceiling. The moonlight filtered through the blinds, cutting across his room like bars. For the first time in a long time, Ryan felt trapped by his own lie. He wanted to tell her the truth, but he couldn't. Not yet. Because if he did, she'd walk away, and he wasn't ready for that. He didn't know that fate would soon make the choice for him. And when Maddie Mercer discovered the truth behind his blindness, it wouldn't just shatter her trust, it would ignite a war neither of them could control.
For a full week, Ryan Preston lived two lives. To everyone on campus, he was the polite, soft-spoken, blind student who smiled through struggle, humble, grounded, even inspiring. But behind closed doors, when the sunglasses came off and the cane leaned forgotten against the wall, he was just Ryan again, grinning at his own cleverness. Jason had stopped pretending to be amused. "You're playing with her emotions," he said one afternoon as Ryan sorted through old vinyl records in their apartment. "She's not like the other girls you've messed with." Ryan glanced up. "Relax, it's not that serious." Jason folded his arms. "She believes you're blind. She pities you, man. That's not flirting, that's manipulation." Ryan set a record spinning, letting the slow jazz fill the air. "It's harmless. I just wanted to teach her a lesson. She treated me like a joke at that mixer." Jason sighed. "And now you're treating her like one," Ryan said. He wasn't proud exactly, but the thrill of fooling Maddie Mercer, the girl who thought she could see through everyone, was intoxicating. Every time she smiled at him with gentle sincerity, every time her hand brushed his to guide him across a hallway, he felt both victorious and guilty. He told himself it would end soon. One small lie, no real harm done. But lies rarely stay small. The truth came out the following Friday, by accident and at the worst possible moment. It was supposed to be a quiet afternoon. The university was hosting a charity photo shoot to highlight student volunteers, and Maddie had insisted that Ryan join. "It'll raise awareness for visual disability support," she said brightly. "Besides, you'll look great in the brochure." Ryan laughed. "You think so?" "I know so," she replied, adjusting his collar like a doting friend. "Just smile and I'll handle everything." The photographer, a senior from the media department, set up near the fountain in the courtyard. "All right," he said cheerfully. "Let's get a few candid shots. Ryan, maybe turn your head slightly toward the sound of my voice. Maddie, hold his arm. Perfect." Ryan obeyed, feigning the same cautious, slow movements he'd practiced. The camera clicked, people smiled, and for a moment, everything felt simple again. Too simple. Until Maddie's phone rang. She stepped aside to answer it, leaving her bag open on the bench beside him. A sudden gust of wind swept through the courtyard, sending papers flying. Instinctively, Ryan reached out and caught one mid-air without even thinking. The motion was quick, natural, effortless. When he looked up, Maddie was standing frozen a few feet away, phone still pressed to her ear, eyes wide, disbelief written across her face. Her voice dropped to a whisper. You can see?" Ryan froze. The photographer glanced between them. Everything okay? Maddie's voice trembled. End the session. Now. They walked in silence to the edge of the quad, where palm trees swayed in the heat, and the sound of the fountain faded into nothing. Maddie's face was unreadable, her eyes burning with something between fury and heartbreak. Say something, Ryan said finally, guilt creeping into his tone. She turned sharply. What do you want me to say? That I'm impressed? That your little performance deserves an award? Maddie, it's not what? She snapped. Not cruel? You let me believe you were blind. You let me pity you. I never asked for your pity. No, you manipulated it. Her words cut deep. Ryan's usual charm faltered. I just wanted to show you what it feels like to judge someone before knowing them. Oh, don't twist this into a moral lesson, she said, voice rising. You didn't teach me anything except how arrogant you are. Maddie, I don't. Her voice broke, trembling between rage and humiliation. You made me care. You made me feel sorry for you. I didn't mean... Save it. Her eyes flashed. You think you're clever, but you've no idea who you're dealing with. And then she walked away, fast, heels clicking against the pavement like gunfire. Ryan stood there, helpless, watching her disappear into the crowd. For the first time, he didn't feel victorious. He felt hollow. By Monday, the story had spread. Rumors moved faster than wildfire on a campus like UCLA. Ryan Preston pretended to be blind to impress a girl. He played her like a game. Even Maddie Mercer fell for it. By lunch, the whole campus knew. Ryan's reputation, once untouchable, began to crack. Students whispered when he passed. Someone taped a white cane to his locker door. A few even clapped sarcastically when he walked into class. Jason tried to keep him grounded. It'll blow over, man. It always does. But Ryan knew this time was different. Maddie Mercer wasn't just anyone. She was popular, influential, and respected, and she wasn't letting it go quietly. That afternoon, he found out just how far she'd go. As he entered the student cafe, a sudden silence fell. Maddie sat at the center table, surrounded by her friends. On the screen behind her, a TikTok clip played, a compilation of Ryan's blind moments, pieced together from the charity shoot, campus security footage, and students' phone videos. Set to dramatic music, it ended with the line, "Some people fake blindness, others just can't see what matters." The cafe erupted in laughter. Ryan froze, his stomach dropping. What the hell is this? Maddie turned, calm and composed. A public service announcement. That's low, he said through clenched teeth. Not as low as lying to someone about a disability, she shot back. Consider it even. He stared at her, anger flashing in his eyes. You know what your problem is? You think you're untouchable, but you're just scared someone might actually see through your perfect little world. Her expression flickered. And you think pretending to be broken makes you deep? Their eyes locked, fierce, unyielding. The world around them blurred. Then Ryan turned and walked away. He didn't look back, but his voice carried through the cafe. Enjoy your victory, Mercer. You'll need it. That night, the city lights flickered outside his window as he sat alone, scrolling through hateful comments. The internet had turned his prank into a headline, his name trending for all the wrong reasons. For the first time, he felt the full weight of what he'd done. It wasn't just a joke anymore. It was a stain he couldn't wash away. Jason entered quietly. You okay? Ryan didn't look up. She hates me. Jason sighed. You kinda earned it. Yeah, but I didn't mean for it to get this bad. Jason hesitated. What are you gonna do? Ryan exhaled slowly. I don't know. Maybe apologize? Jason smirked. Now there's a plot twist. The next morning, Ryan waited outside Maddie's design studio on campus. He spotted her walking out, coffee in hand, eyes hidden behind designer sunglasses. She froze when she saw him. Before you say anything, he began. I came to apologize. Maddie's lips curled slightly. apologize or save face. "I messed up. I know that," he said quietly. "I shouldn't have lied to you. I thought I was teaching you a lesson, but I was just being an idiot." She crossed her arms, unimpressed. "You think a sorry fixes everything?" "No," he admitted, "but it's all I've got." For a long moment, she just looked at him. Really looked at him. Then she said softly, "You don't even get it, do you? You could have told me the truth, and maybe I would have laughed it off. But you let me believe you were broken. You made me care." "I know," Ryan said, voice barely above a whisper. "That's what I regret most." Maddie shook her head. "No, Ryan. What you'll regret most is that you made me angry." And with that, she brushed past him, leaving behind the faint scent of her perfume and a storm that hadn't even begun. Over the next few weeks, Maddie made it her mission to make Ryan's life miserable. She used her influence to quietly exclude him from social events, turned mutual friends against him, and spread just enough rumors to keep his name lingering in whispers. And Ryan, to his own surprise, didn't fight back. Not really. He made a few jokes, shrugged it off, pretended not to care, but every barb from her cut deeper than he'd admit. Because underneath the tension, there was something else. Fascination. He admired her fire, her intellect, the way she refused to bow to anyone. For the first time, someone had stood up to him, and he couldn't stop thinking about her. Late at night, he'd scroll past her social media posts, charity events, art projects, beach sunsets, and feel something unfamiliar twist in his chest. Guilt. Admiration? Maybe both. One evening, as he walked across the quad, he spotted Maddie sitting alone under a tree, sketchbook on her lap. For a moment, he almost turned back, but then she looked up and their eyes met. Neither spoke. The air between them was quiet, charged. Finally, she said, "You don't give up, do you?" Ryan smiled faintly. "You haven't scared me off yet." She sighed, closing her sketchbook. "You're impossible." "Maybe, but I'm sorry, Maddie. Truly." Something in his tone softened her anger, if only for a second, but she quickly looked away. "Sorry doesn't erase the lie." "I know, but it's a start." For the first time, she didn't walk away, and though forgiveness was still far away, something fragile, a truce, a curiosity, a spark, began to flicker in the space between them. Neither of them knew it yet, but their war had just become something much more dangerous, because love often begins where pride refuses to end. The late afternoon sun painted the skyline of San Diego in molten gold, but Harold Preston barely noticed it through his office window. His gaze was fixed on the letter in his trembling hand, stamped, sealed, and cruelly final. Notice of foreclosure. For 20 years, Preston Recycling had been the foundation of his empire, his pride, his proof that he could rise without inheritance or luck. Now it was crumbling under the weight of debt, mismanagement, and his own stubborn greed. He dropped the letter on his desk and exhaled shakily. "Impossible," he muttered. "They can't just shut me down like this." Across the room, his assistant, Clara, hesitated. "Mr. Preston, they've given you 2 extensions already. The board's losing confidence." "Confidence?" Harold barked, slamming a fist against the desk. "That's what cowards say when they want to quit." Clara didn't respond. She knew that arguing with him was useless. Harold Preston wasn't a man who faced truth. He dressed it up, polished it, and turned it into something impressive enough to fool the world.
He straightened his tie, forced his voice into calm control. "We'll find a solution. I always do." But this time, he wasn't sure he would. That evening, Harold returned home to find Sylvia, his wife, setting the table for dinner. The Preston mansion, all marble floors and echoing emptiness, felt colder than usual. Ryan's laughter once filled its halls, but lately, his son barely visited. Sylvia looked up from the candle she was lighting. "You're home early? Bad day?" Harold forced a smile. "Just business, always business." She studied him, recognizing the forced calm. "You've been saying that a lot lately." He ignored her comment, pouring himself a glass of whiskey. "Where's Ryan?" "Probably still in LA," Sylvia said softly. "He called this morning, said classes are going well." "Classes," he muttered. "More likely another beach party." "Harold, don't defend him," he snapped. "That boy doesn't understand the value of money. I didn't work my whole life so he could waste everything on nonsense." Sylvia sighed, setting down the lighter. "He's young, Harold. He's finding himself." "Finding himself won't pay the bills," Harold growled, sipping his drink. Then he added, almost to himself, "He needs to marry someone who'll set him straight, someone from a family that matters." Sylvia frowned. "You mean someone rich?" "I mean someone worthy," he corrected sharply. "Someone like Edward Mercer's daughter." The name lingered in the air like perfume. Powerful, distant, unattainable. Edward Mercer was everything Harold aspired to be, a Silicon Valley magnate, philanthropist, and public darling. The Mercers didn't just own wealth, they commanded it. Their name opened doors, their influence shaped headlines. Harold had never met Edward in person, though he followed every business move he made. When he learned that the Mercers would be attending the upcoming Los Angeles charity gala, Harold's mind began to churn. It was the perfect opportunity. If he could make Edward believe that the Prestons were still affluent, still influential, perhaps a connection could form. Perhaps a marriage could follow. Ryan and Maddie. It sounded perfect on paper, but there was one problem. He was broke. For the next week, Harold threw himself into a feverish performance. He rented designer suits, borrowed a luxury car from a client who owed him a favor, and hired an image consultant to refine his public presence. His office was redecorated with fake awards and certificates, symbols of success that no one would question if displayed confidently enough. But the true challenge came 3 days before the gala, when Clara entered his office nervously. "Sir, about your guest list." "What about it?" "Well," she hesitated, "you listed several names, Gregory Whitman, Charles Liu, Patrick Ross, all of them high-profile investors. They declined the invitation." Harold frowned. "Declined? Why?" "Because they've heard about the financial trouble." For a moment, his jaw tightened. Then, like a man possessed, he began pacing. "I need people who look the part, polished, well-dressed, confident." Clara blinked. "You mean actors?" Harold stopped pacing, a slow, devious grin spreading across his face. "Not actors. People who understand desperation." 2 days later, under the cover of night, Harold's black sedan pulled into a dimly lit street in downtown Los Angeles, an area lined with tents and cardboard shelters. He rolled down the window, the smell of damp pavement and smoke drifting in. A tall, bearded man approached. "You lost, sir?" Harold stepped out, forcing a friendly smile. "Not lost. Looking for help." The man raised an eyebrow.
What kind of help? The kind that pays, Harold replied, handing him a crisp $100 bill. I need you and a few of your friends to attend a formal event tomorrow night. You'll wear suits. You'll act like you're old friends of mine, wealthy business associates. Laugh, shake hands, drink champagne. The man blinked in disbelief. You serious? Very. He looked at the bill again, then at Harold. What's the catch? No catch, Harold said smoothly. Just be convincing. The man smiled faintly. You got yourself an entourage, mister. The night of the gala shimmered with Los Angeles opulence. Luxury cars lined the entrance of the Beverly Hills Grand Hall, their headlights reflecting off marble pillars and chandeliers. The red carpet glowed with flash photography, laughter, and the clinking of champagne glasses. And amid the glittering crowd, Harold Preston arrived, radiating borrowed confidence. His rented tuxedo fit perfectly. His borrowed car gleamed under the lights, and behind him followed 5 well-groomed guests, men who just yesterday had been sleeping under a freeway bridge. Clara had done miracles with thrift store tuxedos and last-minute grooming. To the untrained eye, Harold's entourage looked like they belonged, polished, charming, slightly eccentric, just eccentric enough to pass as old money elite. As they entered the ballroom, Harold felt his pulse quicken. He had rehearsed every smile, every line, every gesture. Tonight, he would become the man he always pretended to be. The orchestra played softly as guests mingled. Waiters floated between conversations with trays of caviar and champagne. The scent of lilies and wealth hung in the air. Harold scanned the crowd until his eyes found him.
Edward Mercer. Tall, silver-haired, commanding, surrounded by investors and journalists, his laughter smooth and effortless. Beside him stood Maddie, radiant in an emerald gown, her presence impossible to ignore. Harold caught the faintest resemblance to her father, the same composure, the same pride. Harold squared his shoulders and approached. "Mr. Mercer," he greeted warmly, extending a hand. "Harold Preston, Preston Recycling." Edward turned, polite but reserved. "Ah, yes, I've heard the name." Harold smiled. "I'm honored. My company's been expanding into eco-innovation, sustainable plastics, and waste-to-energy. I've always admired your investments in green tech." Edward's interest sharpened slightly. "Really? That's a promising field." "Indeed," Harold said, gesturing casually toward his group. "Some of my partners and I have been discussing collaboration opportunities." His partners waved cheerfully, champagne glasses in hand. One even called out, "To the future of clean energy!" Edward chuckled. "You certainly have a lively team." Harold laughed too, though inside he prayed none of them said anything strange. So far, the illusion was working. Hours passed, and the night grew more elegant. Harold found himself in a heated conversation with Edward about investments, technology, and philanthropy. For the first time in months, he felt respected again, alive even. Then Edward said something that froze him. "You know, Harold," he began, swirling his drink thoughtfully, "our families should meet. My daughter's at UCLA, Madison Mercer. Perhaps your son knows her." Harold's heart skipped. "Ryan? Yes, he studies there as well. Business major. Fine young man." Edward smiled faintly. "Then perhaps we'll have reason to meet again." The words hung like music in his ears. This was it, the door he'd been waiting for. He extended his glass. "To the future, then." "To the future," Edward echoed. They drank. The deal wasn't sealed, but the seed was planted, and in Harold's mind, that was enough.
Near midnight, as the gala wound down, Harold stepped outside for air. The cool night breeze brushed against his face, and for a brief, fleeting moment, he felt triumphant. He had fooled the elite, impressed a billionaire, and revived his dying reputation, all in one evening. His friends approached, grimming. "Well, boss," said the tall man from the street, now half drunk on champagne, "how'd we do?" Harold smirked. "Perfectly. You earned every dollar." "I'm glad to hear it," the man said. Then he added quietly, "Funny thing, though, you looked like one of us tonight, desperate to belong." Harold's smile faded. The man handed back his glass and walked off into the darkness, tuxedo jacket slung over his shoulder. His laughter echoed, faintly, mocking, knowing, true. Inside, Harold caught his reflection in the ballroom's mirror, polished, powerful, convincing. But behind the facade, the cracks were showing. The truth, like champagne bubbles, always rose to the surface. And though he didn't know it yet, this night, the Pretender's Ball would set off a chain of lies that neither he nor his son would ever truly escape.
Autumn in California had a strange beauty. Golden leaves against endless blue skies, crisp mornings that melted into warm afternoons. For UCLA's students, it meant one thing: the annual Yosemite camping trip. It was supposed to be a weekend of bonding and adventure, but for Ryan Preston and Madison Mercer, it became a battleground of pride, guilt, and awakening. When Ryan's best friend Jason handed him the sign-up form, Ryan almost laughed. "Camping? You think I'm sleeping in a tent?" Jason smirked. "Come on, man. You could use a little fresh air." Besides, he hesitated, glancing at Ryan's expression. "Maddie's going." "You're joking." "Nope. She's coordinating the design team's art project for the trip." Ryan rolled his eyes. Perfect. A weekend surrounded by pine trees and her ego. Jason grinned. "So that's a yes?" Ryan sighed. "It's a maybe, which means it's already a yes." Friday morning, the parking lot buzzed with energy as two charter buses idled by the curb. Students piled in with backpacks, sleeping bags, and an endless supply of snacks. Ryan arrived late, sunglasses on, duffel bag slung over one shoulder. Maddie was already there, clipboard in hand, directing everyone like a general before battle. Her ponytail swayed as she shouted instructions, looking effortlessly composed in hiking boots and a flannel shirt. When she spotted Ryan, her eyes narrowed. "You're kidding me." He gave her a lazy grin. "Miss me that much?" "Actually, I came to enjoy peace and quiet. Guess that's off the table now." Ryan placed his bag on the ground. "Relax, Mercer. Yosemite's big enough for the both of us." "Barely," she muttered, walking away. Jason leaned over to Ryan. "You two need therapy or a boxing ring." "Same thing," Ryan said with a smirk. But deep down, something twisted in his chest. He hadn't seen her up close in weeks, and the sight of her stirred something he didn't want to name. The bus ride was loud and long. Maddie sat near the front with her team, sketching in her notebook, pretending not to notice Ryan 3 rows behind her, telling jokes and laughing too loudly. Every time he spoke, her pen pressed harder into the paper. When they arrived, the valley spread before them like a painting. Towering cliffs, whispering waterfalls, and forests wrapped in golden light. It was impossible not to feel small. As tents went up and campfires were lit, Maddie focused on her project, a nature-inspired mural using natural dyes and charcoal sketches.
Ryan, meanwhile, was more interested in climbing rocks and showing off to whoever was watching. They stayed apart, trading occasional glares from across the clearing as though silence itself had turned into their latest form of warfare. That night, under a sky full of stars, the students gathered around the campfire. Marshmallows roasted, music played softly, and laughter mingled with the crackling flames. Jason nudged Ryan. "You going to apologize or keep pretending you don't care?" Ryan sighed, staring at the fire. "She made my life hell for weeks. Why should I be the one to say sorry again?" Jason shrugged. "Because you actually mean it this time." Ryan didn't answer. He didn't have to. The silence spoke for him. Across the fire, Maddie sat with her friends, pretending to be absorbed in a conversation, but every now and then, her gaze flicked toward Ryan. When he caught her looking, she quickly turned away. The next morning, the group hiked up a steep trail to Glacier Point. The air was thin and cool, filled with the scent of pine and earth. Ryan walked ahead, joking with Jason, when he heard a familiar voice behind him. "Try not to fall off the mountain, Preston," Maddie said dryly. He glanced over his shoulder. "Worried about me?" "Hardly. I just don't want to be stuck explaining to your father how his son thought gravity was optional." He chuckled. "So you do know who my father is?" "Everyone does," she said. "Harold Preston, the guy who built his fortune out of trash." Ryan stopped walking. "Careful, Mercer. You might choke on all that sarcasm." Maddie smirked. "Don't dish it out if you can't take it." Ryan looked at her for a long moment. "You really hate me, don't you?" Her eyes softened for a split second, then hardened again. "I don't waste energy on hate." He smiled faintly. "Then why do you look so tired every time you see me?" Before she could respond, Jason called from up ahead. "Hey, you two coming or planning to flirt all day?" Both shouted in unison, "We're not flirting." Jason grinned. "Sure you're not." By afternoon, the hike ended at a serene lake surrounded by cliffs. The air shimmered with sunlight reflecting off the water. Some students swam, others sketched or rested on the rocks. Maddie sat on a log, sketching the mountains in silence. Ryan approached quietly, a bottle of water in hand. "Truce?" he said, offering it. She eyed him warily. "For what?" "For whatever we're doing." She hesitated, then took it. "Fine. Truce." He sat beside her, watching the lake ripple in the breeze. For a moment, neither spoke. The usual sharpness between them softened into something fragile. "You ever get tired of pretending?" Ryan asked suddenly. She looked at him. "Pretending what? That everything's perfect? That you don't care what people think?" Maddie blinked, thrown off. "That's a strange question coming from you." He smiled faintly. "Maybe, but I've been pretending for a long time too." She studied his face, the rare honesty in his tone, and for a brief second, she saw the boy beneath the arrogance. Someone lonely, someone lost. "You're not what I expected," she said softly. He turned to her. "And what did you expect?" She smiled faintly. "Someone shallow. Turns out you're only mostly shallow." Ryan laughed, and for the first time, it didn't sound smug. It sounded real. That evening, clouds began to roll in. Thunder rumbled faintly across the valley. The students rushed to secure tents and gather supplies, but within minutes, the rain came down hard, cold, and relentless. Ryan and Maddie ended up trapped under a makeshift tarp together, huddled close as rain pounded around them. "Of course," Maddie muttered. "Out of everyone here, I get stuck with you." "You say that like it's a bad thing." "It is," she said, though the corner of her mouth twitched upward. He chuckled. You know, you're different when you're not trying to win. Win what? Whatever game we've been playing. She looked at him, really looked, and for the first time, didn't have an answer. The firelight flickered in his eyes, and the world outside the tarp faded into rain and darkness. But then, a shout broke through the storm. "Ryan, someone needs help!" They scrambled out into the rain. A small group had gathered near the riverbank. One of the students had slipped, his foot caught between rocks in the rising current. Without hesitation, Ryan waded into the freezing water. "Hold on!" The current tugged hard, but he fought it, gripping the boy's arm and pulling with all his strength. Maddie watched in shock. This wasn't the arrogant prankster she knew. This was someone fearless. When he finally dragged the boy to shore, soaked and shivering, Maddie knelt beside him, wrapping a blanket around his shoulders. Ryan gave a weak grin. "Guess I'm not so shallow after all." Maddie stared at him, heart pounding. "You're insane," she whispered. "Maybe, but it worked." Later, when the storm eased, the group gathered around a new fire. Ryan sat quietly, wrapped in a towel, staring into the flames. Maddie sat beside him in silence. For once, there were no sarcastic remarks, just the sound of crackling wood and soft rain. Finally, she spoke. "You didn't have to do that." "Yeah, I did. You don't just watch someone drown." She looked down. "I'm sorry, Ryan." He turned to her. "For what?" "For everything. The video, the rumors. I thought I was getting even, but I just made things worse." He shook his head. "You were right to be angry. I deserved it. But you didn't deserve all of it." He smiled faintly. "Maybe not, but maybe I needed it." She hesitated. "Why?" "Because it made me realize I don't want to be that guy anymore. The one who plays games because he's too afraid to feel something real." Their eyes met, and something unspoken passed between them. Fragile, uncertain, but undeniable. The next morning, as the sun rose over the misty valley, Maddie found Ryan by the lake, skipping stones across the water. "Couldn't sleep?" He shook his head. "Too many thoughts." "About what?" He smiled softly. "About how the worst weekend of my life somehow turned into the best one." She laughed quietly. "Don't get used to it." He looked at her, his tone playful but warm. "No promises." For the first time, she didn't roll her eyes. She just smiled. That weekend in Yosemite didn't end with fireworks or confessions, just quiet understanding. Two people who had spent weeks tearing each other down had finally seen something true in one another. Neither admitted it, but both knew something had changed, something that couldn't be undone. Because sometimes love doesn't begin with sweetness. Sometimes it starts with a storm.
The days after Yosemite were different. Not loud, not obvious, just different. The sarcasm was still there, the teasing glances and stubborn pride hadn't vanished, but something deeper hummed beneath it all. It was in the way Ryan lingered near Maddie's design studio between classes, pretending he had just happened to pass by. It was in the way Maddie smiled, only slightly, when she caught him waiting for her after lectures. Their war had quietly ended, but neither dared to announce the peace. It started with late-night texts, then long walks after class, then stolen hours that neither of them could explain to anyone else. "Your dad would kill me if he knew this," Maddie whispered one night as they sat on the campus rooftop, legs dangling over the edge, city lights glittering below. Ryan chuckled, tossing a pebble into the darkness. "Trust me, that makes two of us." Her brow furrowed. "Does he even know you're at UCLA and not working for his company?" He leaned back, staring at the stars. "He knows. He just thinks it's a phase, that I'll eventually grow up, wear a suit, and become a clone of him." And what do you think?" Ryan turned toward her, his voice soft. "I think I'd rather starve than live his life." For a moment, neither spoke. The wind carried the faint scent of jasmine from the nearby garden, and the world felt suspended. Two souls sitting between rebellion and desire. "You're brave," she murmured. He smiled faintly. "No, just tired of pretending." As the weeks passed, the unspoken bond between them grew stronger. Maddie, usually cautious and composed, found herself laughing more, opening up about her dreams, her fears. Ryan, who'd built walls of arrogance around his loneliness, began to lower them, just for her. He admired how her hands moved when she sketched, the focus in her eyes, the way she bit her lip when she thought too hard. She admired the rare kindness that peeked through his rough edges, the honesty he never showed the world. But secrets have a way of catching light, and rumors have wings. One afternoon, as Maddie was finalizing a mural for a charity event, her friend Emma burst into the art studio. "You and Ryan Preston? Please tell me that's not true." Maddie froze mid-stroke, brush hovering over the canvas. "What are you talking about? They saw you two together after class. The whole campus is buzzing." Maddie's stomach tightened. "They saw us talking, Emma, that's all." Emma crossed her arms. "Talking looks a lot like flirting when he's the one doing it. Maddie, you know who he is. His father literally ruined your dad's business." Maddie put down her brush, her pulse quickening. "That was years ago. It wasn't Ryan's fault."
"That doesn't matter," Emma said. "If your dad finds out—" "He won't," Maddie cut in. Her voice was quiet but firm. "He can't." Emma sighed, her expression softening. "Maddie, just don't let history repeat itself." That evening, Maddie sat alone in her apartment, staring at an old newspaper clipping pinned on the fridge. Mercer & Co. Construction declares bankruptcy. She remembered the fights, the silence that followed, her father's bitterness, the way her mother had cried at the kitchen table. And she remembered the name at the center of it all, Harold Preston. Ryan's father. Maddie pressed her palms to her face. "What am I doing?" The next day, she tried to distance herself. She didn't answer Ryan's texts. She skipped their usual coffee spot. When he waited for her outside the art department, she walked past him without a word. By the third day, Ryan had had enough. He found her sitting by the old fountain near the quad, sketchbook open, headphones in. Without a word, he sat beside her. She pretended not to notice. "So, this is how we're doing it now. Pretend I don't exist." She exhaled slowly, pulling out an earbud. "Ryan, whatever this is, it's a mistake." He frowned. "A mistake? Our dads hate each other. Mine still blames yours for everything we lost." Ryan's voice hardened. "And you believe him?" "I don't know what to believe, but I know that if we keep doing this, someone's going to get hurt." Ryan leaned back, his jaw tight. "So, that's it. You're just walking away?" Tears threatened, but she blinked them back. "It's not about walking away. It's about surviving." He looked at her for a long, painful moment, then nodded slowly. "You were always better at that than I." Then he stood and walked away, his hands shoved deep into his pockets, leaving Maddie staring at the fountain, fighting the ache rising in her chest. For days, silence settled between them, the kind that hurt more than shouting ever could. Ryan threw himself into his father's new project, trying to prove he could be useful, hoping maybe it would numb the sting. But working with Harold Preston only reminded him of why he'd left in the first place. His father's voice echoed through the office one night. "You're wasting time chasing dreams that don't pay. Art, design, independence,
It's all nonsense, Ryan. The world respects power, not passion. Ryan stared at him, his fists clenched. Maybe that's why you don't have any friends left. Harold's expression darkened. Careful, son. Why? Afraid I'll turn out too human? Ryan shot back, slamming the office door behind him. He didn't go home that night. Instead, he drove, aimlessly, until he found himself outside the art building again. The windows glowed faintly. Inside, he saw Maddie alone, working late. He almost turned back. Almost. But then she looked up and saw him through the glass. For a moment, they just stared at each other, separated by walls and memories. Then she rose slowly, walking toward the door. Couldn't stay away, could you? She said softly, stepping outside. He gave a weak smile. Tried, failed miserably. She crossed her arms. Why are you here, Ryan?
Because I can't stop thinking about you, he said, voice low. Even when I'm angry. Even when I tell myself it's wrong. Maddie's resolve faltered. You shouldn't say things like that. He stepped closer, eyes locked on hers. Then tell me to leave. But she couldn't. Her silence was an answer. He reached out, brushing his fingers against hers, tentative, trembling. You know, for someone who hates me, you're really bad at pretending. She smiled faintly through the tears. Maybe I'm just tired of pretending, too. And then, as the night wind whispered through the trees, she leaned into him. The world blurred, the past vanished, and all that remained was the quiet collision of two hearts that should never have met. For weeks after that night, their relationship lived in the shadows, between stolen moments and secret smiles. They met in empty studios, at the rooftop where it had all begun, in cars parked far from campus lights. Every touch was a risk, every look a promise. They knew the truth would destroy them, and yet neither could stop. It wasn't reckless anymore. It was real. It was love that bloomed in defiance. But fate, as always, had other plans. It happened one Friday afternoon. Maddie had just finished class when her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Stay away from Ryan Preston if you know what's good for you. Her stomach dropped. She looked around. The hallway was empty. She typed back, "Who is this?" But there was no reply. That evening, Ryan showed up at her apartment, breathless and angry. "He found out," he said. Maddie's heart froze. "What?" "He saw the photos," Ryan said, pulling out his phone. The screen showed grainy images of them together, sitting close, laughing, holding hands by the fountain. "Someone sent them to him anonymously," Ryan continued. "He went ballistic, said I'm ruining the family name and consorting with the enemy." Maddie sank onto the couch, tears brimming. "Oh my God. He wants me to end it tonight." She looked up at him. "And will you?" Ryan knelt before her, taking her hands. Not a chance. "Ryan?" "No," he said firmly. "I'm done living for his approval. For once, I'm choosing you." Maddie's breath hitched. "And if he cuts you off?" Ryan smiled sadly. "Then I'll finally be free." Outside, rain began to fall, echoing against the window pane, like the night in Yosemite. Maddie rested her forehead against his. "They'll never understand us." "Then we stopped trying to make them," he whispered. For a long moment, they stayed like that, holding each other, fragile and unshakable all at once. Two hearts, forbidden by legacy and bound by love.
standing on the edge of a storm they could no longer avoid.
It was past midnight when the storm rolled in. Rain hammered the glass like scattered bullets, wind howling across the streets of Los Angeles. Inside a dim apartment, Ryan sat by the window, his knuckles bruised and his heartbeat uneven. The day had been hell. He had gone home after arguing with Harold, thinking he could reason with him, but reason was a luxury Harold never allowed. "You've disgraced this family," his father had shouted, slamming his fist on the table. "Do you have any idea who Edward Mercer is? What does that man think of us?" "Yes," he had snapped back. "That's exactly why I'm not letting him control my life like you let him control yours." Harold's eyes had turned to steel. "You'll end this relationship tonight, or you can pack your things and get out." Ryan had laughed bitterly. "You think you can buy my love with threats, Dad? You've already lost the only thing money can't fix." The fight had ended with Harold's voice echoing through the hallway. "Then you're no son of mine." Now Ryan sat in silence, the sound of the rain drowning out everything else. His phone buzzed, a text from Maddie. He found out, "I can't leave the house. Dad took my car keys and phone. He's furious." Ryan's stomach twisted. Edward Mercer. The man was known for his composure, his cold precision, but when angered, he was a storm in human form. Ryan texted back immediately, "I'll come get you." A moment later, the reply appeared. "No, Ryan, please don't. It'll only make it worse." He hesitated for a second, staring at her words, then grabbed his jacket. He'd made up his mind. At the Mercer mansion, chaos brewed behind tall iron gates. Edward paced across the living room, phone in hand, his voice sharp as glass. "Do you know what this will do to our name? I trusted that boy's father, and he lied. He deceived me, staged his wealth, humiliated this family. And now his son thinks he can just waltz into my daughter's life?" Maddie sat quietly on the couch, tears slipping down her cheeks. Her mother, a soft-spoken woman named Elaine, tried to intervene. "Edward, please, she's young. She made a mistake." "A mistake?" Edward snapped. "No, Elaine, she's jeopardized our reputation." He turned to Maddie, his eyes burning with fury. "You're grounded. You're not leaving this house again until I say so." Maddie rose to her feet. "You can lock the doors, Dad, but you can't lock my heart." Her defiance stunned him into silence. For a moment, Edward saw his late mother in her, the same stubborn fire, the same refusal to bend. But pride was stronger than memory. "You think this is love," he said coldly. "Love doesn't ruin families. It does not destroy futures." Maddie's voice cracked. "No, Dad. Greed does that. Pride does that. You and Mr. Preston have been fighting ghosts while we're just trying to be human." Edward's hand twitched, not in violence, but in helpless rage. "Enough, Madison. Go to your room." She stared at him, trembling. "You'll never understand." And then she stormed upstairs, slamming the door behind her. Hours passed. The rain grew heavier, thunder shaking the house. Maddie sat by her window, her heart pounding. She couldn't stop thinking of Ryan, of his words, his warmth, his defiance.
Downstairs, Edward was on the phone again. His voice was low, dangerous. "Yes, I don't care how you do it. Just scare him. He needs to stay away from my daughter." Maddie froze. Her father hung up, not realizing she had overheard every word. Her breath caught in her throat. He couldn't, but she knew he would. Meanwhile, Ryan was already halfway across town, his car slicing through sheets of rain. His mind was chaos, anger, fear, love, all tangled together. When he turned onto Maddie's street, two dark figures stepped out from behind a parked van. Before he could react, a bat slammed against his windshield. The glass shattered. He barely had time to open the door before another hit caught his ribs. Pain exploded through his side. He stumbled, trying to fight back, but another blow landed on his shoulder. "Stay away from her," one of the men snarled before they fled into the night. Ryan collapsed to his knees, blood mixing with rainwater on the pavement. He could barely breathe, but one thought burned through the pain: Maddie. He forced himself up, clutching his side, and stumbled toward the gates of the Mercer mansion. Inside, Maddie's lights flickered as lightning flashed. She heard a faint tapping on her window. Her breath hitched, and then she saw him, Ryan, drenched, bruised, and barely standing. She rushed to the door, ignoring the warning in her mind, and flung it open. "Ryan!" she cried, pulling him inside. He winced, clutching his ribs. "What happened?" He gave a weak laugh. "Your dad's got creative friends." Tears welled up in her eyes. "Oh my God, you're bleeding." "I'm fine," he lied. "I just needed to see you." Maddie pressed a towel against his side, trembling. "You shouldn't have come. He'll kill you if he finds you here." Ryan looked at her, really looked at her, her eyes red from crying, her hands shaking as they touched him. "Then we should leave. Right now." She blinked. "Leave? To where?" "Anywhere," he whispered. "Vegas? Mexico? I don't care. As long as it's far from here, far from them." Maddie stared at him, torn between fear and longing. "Ryan, that's crazy." "Is it?" he said, his voice breaking. "Look at what they've done to us. The lies, the fighting. I can't do this anymore. I can't keep choosing between you and a world that doesn't want us together." She stepped back, shaking her head. "We can't just run away from everything." "Yes, we can. Because love isn't about staying where you're told. It's about choosing where you belong." Lightning flashed behind him, and for a moment she saw in his eyes the same resolve that had once frightened her, but now it felt like courage. She hesitated only a second longer before whispering, "Then take me with you." By the time they reached his car, the rain had softened into a steady drizzle. Maddie carried a small duffel bag, packed with trembling hands. They drove through the night, past the city lights and the sleeping suburbs, the world fading behind them. Neither spoke for a long time. The silence was fragile, filled with what-ifs and unspoken prayers. Around 3 a.m., the neon lights of Las Vegas appeared on the horizon, glowing like a mirage of freedom. They pulled into a small chapel on the outskirts of the Strip, where a weary minister greeted them with a knowing smile. "Midnight vows, huh? Always the best kind." Ryan took Maddie's hand, his fingers cold but steady. "You sure about this?" She looked at him, eyes glistening. "I've never been sure of anything." Under the flickering neon light, with rain still dripping from their hair, they exchanged vows. Not fancy ones, not planned or rehearsed, just raw promises whispered between breaths.
No rings, no witnesses, no fathers watching. Just love. Imperfect and infinite. When the ceremony ended, the minister smiled and handed them a small envelope. "Congratulations. You two just bought yourselves a chance." The next morning, sunlight spilled across the desert as they drove back toward California. Maddie rested her head on Ryan's shoulder, her eyes half closed. "Do you think they'll forgive us?"
she asked quietly. Ryan smiled faintly. Eventually. But for now, let's just live. She nodded, her hand intertwined with his. Then promise me one thing. Anything. No more lies. No more pretending. He turned to her, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Never again. The road stretched endlessly before them, golden and free. For the first time, they weren't running from something. They were running towards something real. But somewhere, deep down, they both knew the world they'd left behind wasn't done with them yet.
The desert sun was already high when Ryan and Maddie crossed the California border. They had nothing except a few $100s, 2 suitcases, and a marriage certificate folded inside a motel envelope. But to them, it felt like freedom. Ryan drove in silence, his hand resting over hers as the miles rolled by. Every so often, she'd glance at him, the bruises on his jaw fading, the faint smile tugging at his lips. He looked peaceful for the first time in weeks. "Where are we going?" she finally asked. He said, "Home." "Where's that?" Ryan hesitated, then smiled. "Wherever you are." Maddie laughed, not mockingly, but with genuine warmth. It was the kind of laugh that sounded like relief, like something broken was slowly being mended. They ended up in the outskirts of San Diego, miles away from glass towers and gated estates. A small dented sign read, "Sunnybrook Trailer Park." Rows of old RVs and mobile homes sat under sagging power lines. It wasn't much, but it was quiet, affordable, and most importantly, theirs. The manager, an elderly woman with sun-spotted skin, gave them a small trailer for cheap. "It's not fancy," she said, jingling the keys, "but it's sturdy enough for 2 souls starting over." Maddie smiled politely. Ryan took the keys and squeezed Maddie's hand as if to say, "We'll make this work." Their new life began with cracked linoleum floors, leaky pipes, and secondhand furniture. Maddie cleaned for hours that first day, scrubbing until her palms went raw. Ryan fixed what he could, patching holes and tightening screws with the few tools he borrowed from a neighbor. When night fell, they sat together on the floor, eating instant noodles from paper cups. A single candle flickered between them because the power hadn't been turned on yet. Maddie rested her head against his shoulder. "We're really doing this, aren't we?" He smiled faintly. "Guess so. Mr. and Mrs. Preston, professional noodle eaters." She laughed through a yawn. "I can't believe I used to complain about my penthouse view." He kissed her hair. "Guess we both had to lose something to see what really matters." Outside, the crickets sang. For the first time in a long while, silence didn't feel heavy. It felt like peace. The next few weeks were hard, but they adapted. Ryan found work at a local construction site, hauling materials and mixing cement. It was grueling, sunburned labor, nothing like the easy life he once knew, but it gave him purpose. Every dollar he earned felt earned. Maddie, meanwhile, used her design skills to take small freelance jobs online. Logos, posters, invitations. It didn't pay much, but it kept them afloat. Some nights they'd count coins on the table, laugh about who owed who, and fall asleep in each other's arms under a thin blanket. They had no car now. Ryan sold his to cover the first 2 months' rent, and they walked everywhere. Grocery stores, bus stops, the beach. Maddie loved those walks most. "You know," she'd say, "I've seen more beauty in this broken neighborhood than in all of Beverly Hills." Ryan would grin. "Maybe that's because we finally stopped looking through glass windows." She'd nudge him playfully. "You mean you finally stopped showing off?" "Same thing," he'd laugh. But poverty, though humbling, carried its own cruelty. There were days when the power cut off because they couldn't pay on time. Nights when Ryan came home limping,
covered in dust, his hands blistered. Maddie would clean his wounds, scolding him softly. "Ryan, you have to take care of yourself," she'd whisper, wrapping his bruised knuckles. "I'm fine," he'd say, smiling through the pain. "You're the only thing that hurts right now." She'd roll her eyes, but her heart would ache. Sometimes she caught him staring at the wedding certificate on their wall, wrinkled, slightly water-damaged, and she'd wonder if he regretted it. But whenever their eyes met, he'd smile that same quiet smile, and she'd know he didn't. One evening, after a particularly long week, Ryan surprised her. "Close your eyes," he said, guiding her outside. The sky glowed orange and pink as the sun dipped behind the hills. When she opened them, she gasped. He had set up a small table outside the trailer, covered with a thrift store tablecloth, 2 candles, and a half-empty bottle of cheap wine. "Ryan," she whispered, smiling, "what is this?" "Our first dinner date as married people. 5-star dining. Menu includes pasta, laughter, and possibly food poisoning." She burst out laughing. "You're ridiculous." "I know," he said, pulling out her chair, "but you love me anyway." "I do," she admitted softly. The candlelight flickered in her eyes as they ate and talked. For a moment, it didn't matter that the world had rejected them. They had created their own small kingdom out of love and stubborn hope. That night as they lay in bed, Maddie whispered, "Promise me something." "Anything. No matter how hard it gets, we won't let the world change who we are." Ryan brushed her cheek gently. "I promise." The world already had its chance. It lost. A month later, tragedy came quietly. It was a Tuesday morning, the sky gray, the air heavy. Ryan woke early, kissed Maddie's forehead, and left for work with his lunchbox in hand. By noon, the phone rang. Maddie answered, half asleep. "Hello? Is this Mrs. Preston?" Her pulse quickened. "Yes." "There's been an accident at the construction site. Your husband—" The rest of the sentence blurred. The phone slipped from her hand as her knees gave out. She arrived at the hospital trembling. The smell of antiseptic hit her like a wall. Nurses rushed past, and somewhere down the hall she heard his name. Ryan Preston, head trauma, possible fracture. She followed the voices until she saw him, lying on a stretcher, pale, motionless. His clothes were torn, his arm wrapped in bandages. "Ryan!" she cried, grabbing his hand. A nurse held her back gently. "Ma'am, he's stable for now, but he'll need surgery." Her tears came uncontrollably. "What happened?" Scaffolding collapse. He pushed another worker out of the way, took most of the fall himself. Maddie felt the world tilt beneath her. Of course he did. That night, she sat beside his bed, her fingers intertwined with his. Machines beeped steadily. Every breath he took felt like borrowed time. Why did you have to be the hero? Why couldn't you just think about us? Her tears fell onto his hand, but he didn't stir. 2 days later, the doctor gave her the estimate. "The surgery will cost around $40,000, he said gently. "Without it, he may never walk properly again." Maddie's heart sank. They barely had 400. She tried calling charities, posting online, nothing. In desperation, she did the one thing she swore she never would. She called Harold Preston. The phone rang twice before he answered. His voice was cold, familiar, heavy with pride. "Maddie Mercer, or should I say Mrs. Preston?" Her voice trembled.
Please, Mr. Preston, Ryan's hurt. He needs surgery. I don't have the money." "And why," he interrupted sharply, "should I help the woman who took my son away from me?" Her throat tightened. "Because he's still your son, because he still loves you." Silence. Then Harold's voice softened, but not kindly. "I'll help, on one condition." She swallowed. "Anything?" "You'll sign divorce papers. End this marriage. It's the only way I'll pay." Maddie froze. "You can't be serious." "I'm done watching him throw his life away for a fantasy. If you love him as much as you claim, you'll let him go." Her tears came hot and fast. "You're cruel." "I'm practical," he said simply. "Do we have a deal?" Maddie stared at the floor. Every word felt like a blade. She thought of Ryan, broken, unconscious, still fighting for breath. Finally, she whispered, "Yes." 2 hours later, Harold arrived at the hospital with a lawyer and a set of papers. Maddie signed them silently. Her hand trembled as she slipped off her wedding ring and placed it on the table. Harold looked at her, his expression unreadable. "You did the right thing," he said quietly. She didn't respond. She couldn't. When he left, she leaned over Ryan's bed, brushing a tear from his cheek. "I'm sorry. Please live, even if it's without me." Then she turned and walked out, her heart breaking with every step. That night, Ryan woke up, weak, disoriented. His first word was her name. "Maddie?" But Harold was there instead. "She's gone," he said calmly. "Didn't even ask about you. Signed the papers and left." Ryan's chest tightened. "You're lying." Harold met his gaze without flinching. "Believe what you want. She chose comfort over you." Ryan turned away, tears burning his eyes. "Get out," he whispered. Harold left satisfied, not knowing that the woman he'd just driven away had saved his son's life.
The world outside Ryan's hospital window was a blur of pale blue and restless wind. He'd been home for a week now, his body mending, but his heart refusing to. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Maddie's face, her laughter, the way she used to hum softly while sketching, the way she said, "We'll make this work." But then Harold's words would echo again. "She didn't even ask about you. She left." He'd tell himself he didn't care, that she'd chosen comfort, wealth, safety. But the truth gnawed at him. The silence in the small trailer, the empty side of the bed, it all screamed one thing. She loved you too much to stay. And deep down, he knew something didn't add up. It was Sylvia, his mother, who broke the truth. She came to visit one quiet afternoon, bringing homemade soup and a familiar worried softness in her eyes. "Ryan," she said, sitting beside him, "your father told you Maddie left, didn't he?" He nodded, not looking up. "He made it pretty clear." Sylvia sighed, her voice trembling. "Your father lied." Ryan's head snapped up. "What?" She took his hand gently. "Maddie didn't leave you. She came to him begging for help to pay for your surgery. He agreed, but only if she signed divorce papers. She sacrificed everything so you could live." The words hit him like a thunderclap. His pulse raced, and for a moment he couldn't breathe. She signed them?" Sylvia nodded, eyes glistening. "She gave him her ring.
I tried to stop him, but Harold thought he was protecting you. Maddie saved your life, Ryan. She never stopped loving you." Ryan stood up abruptly, the pain in his leg flaring but ignored. "Where is she now?" Sylvia whispered. "She's leaving for London. Edward's sending her away today. Flight's an hour." Ryan didn't wait another second. He grabbed his jacket and car keys, the ones Harold had hidden, and rushed out the door. The freeway blurred beneath him as he sped toward LAX. His mind was chaos, flashes of her laughter, their tiny trailer, their nights under candlelight. He whispered under his breath, "Please still be there, Maddie. Please." Rain began to fall, soft at first, then harder, as if the sky itself was echoing his desperation. He didn't care. He drove faster, weaving through traffic, heart pounding with every passing second. At the terminal, he parked illegally, barely turning off the engine. Inside, the airport buzzed with noise, the hum of announcements, rolling suitcases, the murmur of goodbyes. He scanned every face, every figure, shouting her name. "Maddie! Maddie Mercer!" People stared, but he didn't care. His voice cracked. "Maddie!" He reached the international departures gate just as the final boarding call echoed overhead. "Flight 307 to London. Final boarding now." And there she was, standing near the gate in a cream coat, her hair tied back, eyes red and swollen. She held her passport loosely, almost as if her heart wasn't in it. "Maddie!" he shouted again. She turned, slowly, as though afraid it might be a dream. Her lips parted, her eyes widening in disbelief. "Ryan!" He stumbled forward, breathless, drenched in rain. "You weren't supposed to leave," he said, voice breaking. "You weren't supposed to say goodbye like that." Her eyes filled with tears. "You shouldn't be here. You're still healing." "I don't care," he said, grabbing her hands. "I don't care about the pain, or your father or mine. I care about you. Why didn't you tell me?" She shook her head, crying softly. "Because your father said it was the only way to save you. I couldn't let you die, Ryan. I had no choice." "You always have a choice. And you chose love. You gave up everything for me. And I let you walk away because I believed his lies." Her hands trembled in his. "I thought you'd hate me." "I could never hate you." For a moment, neither spoke. The world around them, the travelers, the announcements, the distant hum of engines faded to nothing. It was just them, two broken souls, finding each other again amidst the noise of life. Then a flight attendant's voice cut through the air. "Final boarding for Flight 307. Maddie looked toward the gate, then back at Ryan. Her tears fell freely now. "Ryan," she whispered, "I can't stay. My father—" "Forget him," Ryan said, gripping her hand tighter. "Forget them all. We've lived under their pride and lies for too long. We can start again, Maddie. We always do." She hesitated. "But what about your father?" Ryan smiled sadly. "He's not my future. You are." The boarding gate closed with a mechanical beep. Maddie turned her head, and for a heartbeat, Ryan thought she'd walk away. But then she dropped her passport. The sound of it hitting the floor was small, but it was the loudest, most beautiful sound he'd ever heard. "I'm not going," she whispered. Ryan exhaled, pulling her into his arms. She buried her face against his chest, sobbing softly as he held her tight, refusing to ever let go again. "You came back," he murmured. "I never really left," she said. When they finally pulled apart, a small crowd had gathered, strangers watching quietly, some smiling, some wiping away tears. A few even clapped, and Ryan chuckled through the emotion. "You know, we really should stop making scenes in public." She smiled, her eyes still wet. "You love the drama. Only when it ends like this," he said. Then a familiar voice echoed behind them. "Ryan?" They turned. Harold and Edward stood side by side, both pale, both looking far older than before. Sylvia was behind them, her expression gentle, almost relieved. Edward spoke first, his voice unsteady. "Maddie, I told you to board that plane. I couldn't, because for once I wanted to make my own choice." Harold stepped forward, his eyes fixed on Ryan. "I didn't think you'd forgive me if you knew." Ryan's voice hardened. "You were right." Harold flinched. "But," Ryan added softly, "I also didn't think you'd ever admit you were wrong. That's something." Harold's voice cracked. "Son, I thought I was protecting you. I wanted you to have a better life than I did." "I didn't need better. I just needed real. And Maddie gave me that, even when I didn't deserve it." For a moment, silence hung between them. Then Edward, proud, rigid Edward Mercer, sighed deeply. "I have spent my life thinking money could fix everything, but it can't buy forgiveness or peace." He looked at Maddie, his tone softening. "I'm sorry, sweetheart. I was wrong." Maddie stepped forward slowly. "I forgive you, Dad, but I'm not coming home. Not the way you want me to." Edward nodded, eyes moist. "Then maybe it's time I let you live your own story." He reached out and placed her passport back in her hand. A silent symbol of trust returned. As the four of them stood together, a shaft of golden light broke through the airport's glass ceiling. The rain outside had stopped. The world felt new again, fragile, but full of promise. Harold turned to Sylvia. "We made a mess of things, didn't we?" She smiled faintly. At least they found love in the wreckage. Harold nodded, eyes following Ryan and Maddie. Maybe that's what redemption looks like. Outside, under the California sunset, Ryan and Maddie walked hand in hand through the parking lot. The air smelled of rain and jet fuel, but also of beginnings. "So," she said, smiling faintly, "what now?" Ryan squeezed her hand. "We start over, again. Only this time, no lies, no pretending. Just us." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "You really think we can make it?" He smiled. "We already did." They stopped for a moment, watching the horizon. The sun painted the sky in shades of amber and rose, the same colors that had once lit the beach where they first met, when they were just two foolish strangers trying to outwit each other. Now there were no games, no revenge, no pride, just love, raw, imperfect, real. And as they walked away into the fading light, their shadows stretched long behind them, two souls who had finally learned that the richest hearts are the ones that survive loss and still choose to love anyway.